Hey everybody, just trying to get a little bit of Butterbean here, feeding on some freeze-dried krill I put in the tank. There he goes, he finally found it. He's having issues with me at the moment. You'll probably notice that I did some rearranging to his tank today, which he was not happy at all about. And he had finally settled down and was acting normal again, and I'd gotten him fed. I put some shrimp in the tank for him, and of course as soon as he sat down to have dinner, I whipped out the old camera and started filming him, which he never likes, and so he was just kind of huffing in the corner for a minute, and now he's gotten back to looking for his little piece of shrimp that's in there floating around. So he'll get over it. He always does. He's a drama queen. He fusses over the slightest little thing, and he gets in his little moods and whatnot. But today I went in there and I did him a big favor. I gave him more stuff to do and more stuff to look at in his tank. I also gave him a couple little new tank mates, if you notice up there in the top left. For those of you who follow along, you'll know I've got a quarantine tank full of little baby Guppies and Endlers, and they're starting to grow up enough to where I can start to see detail on some of them. And these two are really pretty, and so I pulled them out and put them in this tank, and I believe they are Endlers. I'm not 100%, but I believe they're both Endlers. No idea what species, but they're really pretty little fish. So I put them in here. They should be fine in the brackish water at 1.008 specific gravity. That's fine for guppies and Endlers. That's still considered low-end brackish, and that's fine for guppies and live bears. In fact, a lot of them prefer it to be slightly brackish like that. So we've got those two in there. We've got more actually right here. As they start growing out, if we get any more that are particularly striking, they may end up here in the brackish tank too. So you never know. The thing that got me thinking about putting them in there was that I recently lost one of my Bumblebee Gobies. I looked in there and found it dead, lying on the bottom, sort of just below the filter intake. And the same thing happened today. I went in there, and when I turned all the lights on and everything this morning, sure enough, there was a dead Goby at the bottom underneath the filter intake. So I removed him, and I decided that since I'd already been considering sort of remodeling the tank here, I was going to go ahead and that would be my project for this morning. So that's what I did. I didn't make any fuss about it. I didn't shoot any before or after video or anything. But I did get in there and add 3 new rocks. You can see the 3 big, bright, beautiful ones on the left. That rock I've got right there, that is a smaller one, that whitish rock. I don't think it's coming out on camera, but that actually has like gold flecks and stuff in it. It's not real, gold, the metal. But it's got really pretty coloring on it that I just thought was kind of striking, and it would look interesting in this tank. That was already in here. You just couldn't see it. It was flipped over, and I was using it in a different position. So the 2 flat rocks there, and then this large rock here on the left are the ones I added today. I also pulled the Java fern that was in here out. I've never had much luck with the Java fern growing in here in the brackish water, whether I've just jammed it right in or whether I've acclimated it slowly. I've never had much luck with them. So today, since I'm having issues with my angelfish tank and I need to do a little bit of rearranging in there, I decided I was going to go ahead and pull some of the anubias babies that I have in there out of that tank and put them in this tank, and we'll give them a shot, because anubias does fine in brackish water in theory. So, Java fern does too, but I've never been able to make it go really well in my brackish water. Let's see how well the anubias does. And I know you're not really supposed to plant the rhizomes before anybody points that out, but when this one broke off, it's just kind of a stump without any real rhizome attached to it, and it had one little piece of root still attached to it. So I don't even know if that one on the bottom there is going to take or not. So I just kind of stuck it lightly in the substrate, and we'll see what happens. Other than that, I can't think of anything worth really speaking of as far as changes I've made in this tank. I did do the water change today, like I said, before I did the rocks. That's what I was talking about. I didn't want to get sidetracked on the plants there too much. Those rocks were going to go in here anyway, so the dead fish this morning was not the inspiration to do that. That was the motivation, you know, since I was going to get in there and do the water change and everything anyway. The rocks I had prepared about a week ago. I had just not gotten around to doing anything, and I'm not sure what tank I had them in at one point, but they were in my collection pile of rocks that's just been, you know, around the room. It's been in various tanks over the years, and you know, but I still wanted to clean them up. I still wanted to make sure they were sterile before I put them in there. And so these rocks are small enough that I was able to boil them. And so while I've taken rocks before and I've treated them in bleach and I've treated them by scrubbing them down, I've never had a whole lot of luck doing that and keeping them without bringing some kind of contamination, algae or something into the tank. Boiling them has always worked. So these rocks were small enough that I could put them in a pot on my stove, and that's what I did. I boiled them a few days ago, and then they've just been sitting in a bucket in the other room waiting. So they went in here today along with that anubias and those little Endlers or those Guppies or whatever they are. I've actually been in there for several days now, and they're doing just fine. I wanted to see how well they reacted with Butterbean and how Butterbean reacted with them before I actually did anything about it. Look, you can see the piece of shrimp is actually caught in the current where the filter comes in, and that's why Butterbean is not actually eating his dinner. It's stuck in there. Let me see if I can do this while holding the camera properly. There we go. Now that might have spooked Butterbean a little bit, but I think it'll knock his food loose somewhat, or possibly not, and it'll go right back into it. Oh well, he'll figure it out. It's in there floating around somewhere. Of course, he's probably all disturbed now that I was rattling my hands around in there on the filter. Like I said, he's a fussy little thing. Most temperamental fish I've ever seen. Anyway, this is my first look at my new escape in the Brackish tank, so I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe, that way you won't miss anything I've got coming up. I do have plans on shooting that video about my angelfish tank. I recently had several fish die overnight due to oxygen deprivation, and I've been giving that some thought, and I think I have sussed it. So I'm going to be shooting a video about that, possibly today, maybe tomorrow, but subscribe anyway, that way you won't miss it whenever it pops out. Like I said, you never really know what you're going to get with me. Don't forget, this is my Brackish tank. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.